Can you feel when things are stale? Can you feel when things don't have life in them? When they're just spoken, but there's no vitality? When they are set to harmonies and melodies, but they're lifeless? When they're prayed, but they're void? When they touch, but they're empty? You feel that? We know it, don't we? And we know when something's alive. We know when it has wings, when it has expression, when it's brought to the level beyond the surface and it is embodied and it's real, right? Prayer is somewhat like that. Prayer is somewhat like that. Sometimes it can feel empty, like it's going nowhere, doing nothing. What is this? Sometimes we can hear it and it sounds hypocritical. And sometimes it doesn't matter if our belief system is so far apart that we are in other galaxies, because the heart and the intention is there and you can feel it. Amen? It's like, I would have you pray that over me any day. Because you can feel it, because there's something real, there's movement. It's like a song that's being sung from the heart. You know, when ministers come and speak, and when people sing songs, I love to say to them, what are you alive about? What are you alive with? And we're getting ready to have a summer full of some incredible speakers coming up. But what are you alive with? Well, Unity's co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, taught that we can be alive with prayer. That prayer is something that can be taught, it can be learned. I am a great parallel parker. Anyone else in here? Great parallel parker? Yeah? Stan and I. We'll park your cars at any time. Yep. Just text us, we'll be there. It can be the tiniest spot. I mean, there could be like an inch in the front and an inch in the back. And other people can be in the car with me and go, you can't fit in there, keep going. And I can go, just hold on. And I have a method to it, right? Raise your hand if you're terrible parallel parker. If you just drive by them, you see them and you're like, no, keep going. Gosh, you've missed a lot of good spots, friends. You know why? Because you didn't have my teacher. It's not magic, right? I wasn't born with the gene for parallel parking. As far as I know, that's not the latest gene science. But I had an incredible teacher who was like, it's not hard to learn, but you got to know a few things. Did you have someone teach you? Raise your hand if you had someone really say, if you do it like this, you're going to get in there. Oh, mine did. I mean, he was to the degree that, you know, you've got your car, you've got their car, and you pull up right beside it. And when you see the front, you line yourself up in this way and you stop right there. So you go to where you're at their bumper. You can see their bumper. It's right there, and that's where you start. You're about this far apart from it. And then you start backing up, and then all of a sudden, turn it in, and then whip it right back. And there you are. But I was taught, and I practiced. I applied it routinely over and over again until I got results. Because I'm a good learner and a good follower, I follow directions, and if someone says there's a way to do something that is the best way or the highest way, I listen. How many of us were taught how to pray? Some. How many of us were taught how to pray in ways that we then had to throw that away? I mean, all of us were taught to write letters to Santa, to the Santa God of prayer, right? All of us were taught that. You can't be alive today without having gotten that lesson, right? Where it's like, let me just pour out my hope and then send off the letter and then wait. Just wait. Without being taught that, no, we do something. We become something. There is a way to open our hearts. The master teacher laid it out, demonstrated it, and sages and saints throughout time have embodied it. There is a way to pray that can feel more alive, real, and nourishing than sending off a letter and hoping. So are you ready? Prayer is often thought of as something ethereal, something subjective, not objective, something miraculous, not methodical, and something mysterious, not scientific, right? Mysterious, miraculous, subjective. Wow. There it is. Last week, we talked about neuroscience and spirituality, and I shared that Amit Sood of the Mayo Clinic, the man known as the happiness doctor, said, when science has matched spirituality, it creates a milieu for transformation. Science is nothing but systematic study of spirituality. Charles Fillmore would have loved him. Would have loved him. Because this is what he taught about spirituality and spiritual practice and prayer. And this is why he taught that unity was not a new religion. It was not something new. It was actually the key component that's missing in all religions, in all spiritual practices, and only missing because it has been forgotten, because he found it to be a common thread in the mystic traditions of every faith tradition, of every tribal tradition, of every historical thing that he really got into the guts of. He said these things are present. These things that we call unity, they are really the key to all of it. So Ernest Holmes, a contemporary of Charles Fillmore, who started the Science of Mind movement, and Charles Fillmore, they would have said the same thing about prayer as we say about spirituality, that prayer can be taught. So prayer is often all of these things, mysterious, mystical, but there is also an element to which we can learn it, to which we can learn and interact. And when we talked about neuroscience last week, it intersects so much with spirituality. We don't think it was, but we don't think it would. And in fact, I've been looking at our fall series book. I know that's like far away for so many of you, but on my side of the fence, it's not so far away. But I've been looking at it, and there is a bestseller book called Atomic Habits. Who's seen it or read it or... Yeah, and you go, whoa, Atomic Habits. And I looked at that book as a possibility for what we might do in the fall series. And then as I kept looking at it, I'm like, well, it's not really like spiritual. There's no it doesn't say God anywhere. It doesn't have it's very scientific, and I'm not sure if people will like it. And you know what I think? I think if Charles Fillmore was here today, he'd probably be the one who wrote it. Because it's all about these micro changes, it's all about these shifts, it's all about interrupting the patterns and the systems of what we do to sabotage ourselves. Who feels like sometimes when they pray or when they launch a vision or when they do what they think they know to do to help themselves or get in tune with the one that is wisdom, life, intelligence, who feels like they're walking into a bar at 3 a.m. with beer bottles being flung at their head saying, no, you can't say that, that's not true, that's not gonna happen, right? It's like a dangerous place in here sometimes. Like really dangerous. Like when I start getting hope or I start saying, okay, we're going to lift this or we're going to move this or process like this, there's all this stuff going on. And it can be like a war zone, can't it? I mean, there's enough going on out there, but when it goes on in here, God help us. And the neuroscience and some of that technology that we're now calling science is what Fillmore and the New Thought co-founders, what Jesus the Christ was teaching so long ago, like interrupt that pattern. You are looking at this woman at the well, you are looking at that penny, you are looking at that lame limb or whatever it is, and you are seeing this interrupt that pattern. But we are so conditioned, are we not? I've been reading stuff, getting it into my brain. And as I've been reading it, I see things like, emotion research that said when something happens, the emotion lasts for about 90 seconds. If you can be present, if you can breathe into it and handle it for 90 seconds, welcome it, sip a cup of tea with it, sit down. If you can get through that 90 seconds, guess what? That's all the power that an emotion has. If it's still not happening, it has no power over us. 90 seconds. Do you have 90 seconds? After that, they said everything else is linked with our belief system, our thoughts, and the bar at 3 a.m. It doesn't say that. I don't know. I haven't been to a bar at 3 a.m. since probably college. You see what I'm saying, though? All this stuff happens, and it pulls at the prayer. Some people ask, does prayer work? Well, it works when you work it, but what does it mean to say that it works? It's probably better to say, does it have benefits? Meditation is what opens the mind, what creates the spaciousness, and then prayer is what we put in there so that we can align with spirit and align with source. If we know that our source is everywhere present, we know that it is infinite intelligence. Anyone that's questioning God, fine, question God, but look around, look at your freaking fingers. It's amazing. It's ridiculous. Look at the leaves on a tree. Look at the little veins on each leaf. Look at the moon. Have you gone outside to just stop and look at the moon, play a guitar, and just listen to the string? That is the intelligence that is operating in this universe in which we live and move and have our being. And you can tell by your own physical body that we are not separate from it. Now, all the layers of God stuff and all the layers of religion and all the layers of science, all the layers of everything else that we put on it, well, that is what it is. But in its own right, it is incredible. So how can we not get out of the way? Because I firmly believe we have to get so fully in the way. We have to get so fully in the way that we become the way. We have to allow our being to get this, to know this, and as we do, things open up. As we do, there is spaciousness. As we do, we invite in, we welcome, and we create a welcoming environment for the truth. That we are not separate, that there is no place God is not, that all Godness is active in us, through us, moving as us, and that there is an infinite intelligence that not only can we call upon, but it is in the very fabric of our being, if we can get some of these simple things. But we are creatures of habit, aren't we? That's why Atomic Habits is just blowing up on the bestseller list right now, because we are creatures of habit. It says, in fact, in there that if you can just start something for 2 minutes, just for 2 minutes, get into a new routine. It doesn't matter if you get all your clothes on and you get to the gym and then you just sit in the parking lot and then you're done and you go home. Because you started it, you did it, right? And that subtle little shift can transform a community. A subtle little shift, like the second anyone walks through that door, not like you're going by the Gap. The Gap probably doesn't even exist anymore, but I remember when I was younger and I would go to the mall, which was so long ago, but when I would go to the mall and I'd go by the Gap, I'd be like, leave me alone. So not like the Gap, but like you're coming home, like you're at the bar, cheers, and you just walked in and you're Norm. I'm so dating myself. But like that. Not like I'm so busy talking to someone else, or I'm so busy doing this, or there's nobody there, but like, I see you, I know who you are, and you're home. I see you, I know who you are, and welcome. I don't know what it took to get here today, but I love you, and I acknowledge you, and I know the vibrance of your spirit and the actual strength of your soul. Tiny little habits make a massive difference, and that, friends, is spiritual. They are moments of awakening, moments of mindfulness. We may be asleep 50 to 80% of the time, but do you know how powerful our 10% is? It's massive. It's massive. So that tiny little habit of saying 2 minutes, can I sit down for 2 minutes a day and meditate? Just 2. How many of us might be challenged by thinking, I got to put in an hour, I got to put in 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, I got to do 50, can't even, but 2, just in a habit, 2. Can I do a 2-minute prayer? 2. And can I become a learner? Can I be so open, mind, body, and spirit, that I'm learning that everything is evolving and expanding for me, even my prayer life? Even if I don't want to call it that, call it whatever you want. But it's your upliftment life. It's your alignment life. I'm getting into alignment, in science of mind, which is also called religious science, they call it a treatment. A treatment. And what is a treatment? To treat the conditions of the mind so that shift can occur. We say in Unity that we're not praying to God to change God. Like, there's no godness out there that's like, I didn't give you enough, so wait, okay, you're putting in a request, let me give you more. No, all godness is everything given. It's wisdom, it's these faculties, it's wisdom, love, power, strength. All of those things, it's all given. The shift happens in us. When we recognize that, I'm willing to receive it, I'm willing to get it, I realized that I was doing this with my mind. I was sabotaging my own goodness, my own wellness, and I am going to create a new pattern. I'm open, I'm listening, I'm movable, I'm changeable. And that's one of the reasons I think they call it a treatment. They say Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, said, treatment is the art, the act, and the science of consciously inducing thought within the universal subjectivity for the purpose of demonstrating that we are surrounded by a creative medium which responds to us through a law of correspondence. In its more simple meaning, treatment is the time, process, and method necessary to the changing of our thought. Treatment is clearing the thought of negation, of doubt, and fear, and causing it to perceive the ever-presence of God. Causing it to perceive God. Anyone ever been with someone that can't hear the help in front of them? That like the second there is, right? You may say you're beautiful and they say, I'm this, right? It's like the second the good comes, the second there's something affirmative, the second there's something that's loving, it's like, again, like the right on the head. It's being pushed out because there's not space in there. There's a saying in New Thought, God can do no more to you than God can do through you. So prayer is checking in on what can Godness do through me right now. Can I open myself so fully and completely and get my habits out of the way, my limited thoughts out of the way, my limited beliefs out of the way, and can I let my soul, myself, my being, my body, my physical temple become the way? A treatment or a prayer is to realign our thoughts with truth, to clear negation, to clear fear, to clear doubt, to clear all of those parts that we have memorized or we have disbelief, and to just let them sit aside for a while. Just like, hey, it's closing time. Okay, sorry. That's a song about closing the doors and that the party's over. The negation party is over. The fighting with it is over. The self-deprecation is over. The limited thoughts are over. If you know anything about media and marketing, we get 8 million messages in order for things to go through, and the negative messages stick with us more. Like if you want something to be heard, you've got to say it over and over and over and over. That's the scientific piece of it. That's the scientific piece, is it can't just be like a letter that we send and we leave and we go away, because Spirit can do no more to us than it can do through us. We got to hold on to the letter. We got to unpack it. We got to give life to the words. We got to let them flow through our body. We got to be able to shed the scales from our eyes so that we can see what is right before us and what is within us. There is no limit. Like, who knows that today, right here on planet Earth, there is no limit to what amazing things we can create. There is no lack of resource. There is no lack of intelligence. There's no lack of incredible creative ideas, right? Who gets in the way? The junk, right? The systems, the firing squad, greed, separation, us and them, me and you. All of those things are what gets in the way. That's why prayer is not about changing God. It's about changing us. It's about a shift within me so I'm really willing to realize the ever-presence of Spirit, to bring my mind into thoughts of godness, into thoughts of good, and affirm it. If you know some Unity history, one of my favorite little things is this red leaf experiment that they did. It was 1905. I've talked about it before. It was the October issue of Unity magazine in 1905. And what they did was, I always thought when I heard about it, it was an actual leaf, which would have been cool, like a red leaf. But it was a piece of paper, a little piece of paper. And on that little piece of paper, on one side, it said, "I have faith in the healing power of the Holy Spirit now being poured out upon me." And it closes with, "God prospers me." And on the other side, it says, "A test. For the purpose of testing the power of thought on both the mental and physical planes of consciousness, this sheet has been especially treated and saturated with the direct healing thought emanations of 8 members of the Society of Silent Unity at 913 Tracy Avenue in Kansas City, Missouri. Those desiring to test its healing power are requested to cut it out and hold it in between clasped hands, and at the same time repeat silently for 5 to 15 minutes the class thought on the opposite side. When possible, have every member of the family do this in succession. Please report the results at the end of the month." What did you hear in there? A magical red leaf. Hold this leaflet. Someone at Silent Unity has prayed it up. It is blessed. Hold it in your hand, and you will experience healing. What do you think happened? They sent them all out in the magazine. That I don't know how many people that got to at those days, but you know that there were, like, this place was on fire back then in a good way. They held it in their hands, and healings. And then what did the human condition do? I need to get more of those leaflets, right? She needs a leaflet. He needs a leaflet. Let's get that leaflet. Get that magic, mysterious leaflet into my hands. And healing, physical healings, emotional healings. What was happening there? Let's unpack it. Let's get methodical. Let's get objective. Let's get scientific. Let's unpack it. What was happening there? What was happening there was that there was a sense of belonging, connectedness, togetherness, community. What was happening there was that there was a sense of faith, a sense of belief, the perceiving power of mind linked with the ability to shape substance. There is a higher faculty, whether someone else knew it for me or I'm knowing it for myself in this moment, but Godness is here as I'm holding this. So there is a belief in something more than my little, I'm just a person right here sitting in my home in Arkansas, and I got this leaf from Silent Unity, and I don't know how to heal whatever it is that's going on with me, but there's something higher going on, and I'm going to know that's true because it came from something higher. And then what else happened? Let's look into neuroscience today. What else happened? Hold it between your hands, and at the same time, repeat silently. Hold it in your hands. Get silent. quiet the mind, interrupt all of the other habits and the other patterns, and for 5 to 15 minutes, use this mantra. Create a new neural pathway, interrupt the programming, put in a positive thought, connect with the truth. Give yourself this time for 5 to 15 minutes. That's what the Mayo Clinic's talking about. There are schools that are talking about incorporating meditation in practice. Science, objectivity, method. And then it says, if possible, get everyone in your household to do it. If possible, where 2 or more are gathered, there am I in the midst of you. Yes, mystical. Yes, magical. Yes, all of that. And basic, teachable principle. If you are believing this for me and I am believing this for you, if we are negating this thought together and we are clear, my garage door opener, friends, has not worked for over a year. I know I always have these house falling apart stories. I need to live in a condo. But my garage door opener has not worked for well over a year. And you know what I do? And this is so metaphysical. It works to get in, but it doesn't work to get out. Are you hearing me? Getting out of things, right? It's not working. So I have to get out of my car, I pull my car, and I do this all the time, rather than getting it fixed. I even have someone helping me call people to get it fixed. Anyway, pull it out. I have to get out of the car, and I have to come back in, and I either have to go to the door or I have to stand under it and click the clicker, right? And then I have to run to the little eyes, and I have to hop over them. So it doesn't shut. One time, the garage door was even shutting, and I went to do my hop. I nearly gave myself a concussion. But you know what? I was just talking to the guy at the garage door opening place the other day, and he said, because I've been calling for like forever and just procrastination. But you know what he said? He said, check the light bulbs. Did you just replace the light bulbs not too long ago? Yes, I did. And he said, there are LED light bulbs. There are these other kinds of spirally ones, and there are old kinds of whatever ones that I don't know what they're called. And he said, light bulbs are causing interference. Interference. Sometimes when you put an LED light bulb in, it's not letting it go. When the light goes on, it's pulling some sort of energy, and it's causing interference. So we sit, friends, and we inconvenience ourselves. We can't get out of things, and we hit our heads on things because there is interference. Prayer is about getting rid of the interference. And even if it's for 5 to 15 minutes a day, and for sure if it's in your whole household and everyone you know, and you're saying, enough of the interference, let it flow. Amen? Prayer is objective, it's scientific, it's impersonal. It works because we work it. Let go, let God act. Let's take a time of meditation together and just breathe in. I let go of everything I think I know about everything, and I am open to being teachable and reachable. I am open to creating space in my life, in my mind, in my prayer, in this treatment. I connect with statements of truth. There is no place Godness is not. Let that thought, that feeling, that aliveness have its way within my being for this moment. In this moment, I can trust. In this moment, I can believe and breathe into the truth that the same faculty that put the moon in my sky, the planet under my feet, and that draws me to that planet without flinging and flying off into space or spinning around till I'm dizzy. That is the activity that is at work in my life. And I can trust it. I can breathe into it. Let there be space in my mind, and let the spaciousness make way for what is already here, what is already mine. I take it on. I am teachable, reachable, movable. I breathe into the healing power of the silence. Sweet Spirit, we connect with the consciousness of the divine in this sanctuary and in the homes across this beautiful marble we call Earth. We imagine in our hands that red leaf. They practiced for 30 days saying that statement and had awakening, healing, nourishment. Let me step forward in action with tiny little atomic habits that further my good, so I may be of benefit to all. So that I may be nourished and renewed, that I may remember the power of this practice. That every cell in my body can rejoice. Can lean into the safe space that I steward within. By the power of this practice, may all beings have freedom from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings know God as love and themselves as emanations of this love. And may all beings know we are born blessed and here to be a blessing. And so it is. Namaste.